Hello, selectors, and welcome back to the Life First podcast, where we talk about Reunion Diva centers. And today we're going to talk about Alfou. I think that's how we pronounce it. Alfou or Alfou, something like that. Anyways, this L rig is a interesting one. I don't think it's actually all that powerful. It doesn't feel super strong to me, but I think there is a way to potentially niche it to be a little stronger than what it would assume normally. So her whole shtick is milling, right? And you can mill once very reliably in this game. Milling twice in this game is iffy. It takes a lot of deck space to make it work. However, I think some of that deck space being pushed into your L-Rig deck is going to help you pull it off easier. And if you refresh your opponent twice, it ends up being, I think, pretty powerful. It may turn out that all of the effort that you put into refreshing your opponent twice basically is more effort than what it's worth, and it just ends up being average. But there are people out there who are going to really enjoy milling. So this is sort of my attempt to try to give you guys a template to use to being sort of like a mill-centric deck and getting it to pay off for you. I think if you can get the opponent to mill off twice, right? Then you get to either draw 2 cards or enter charge 2, or some mix of that with its ability. You get to vanish the opponent's Signy when it enters, and then this once per game helps the mill. I think that makes it a little above average to work with. It takes a lot of work, but I think it works. So that's the goal with this deck, right? And if you look at just this L-Rig deck on its own, you've got the ability to mill 8 with her center ability. Then with Urith, both of these Uriths, you are milling another 8. That's a total of 16 cards broken up into increments, as well as a death deck, which mills your opponent 10. So 16 plus 10, that's 26 cards that you're going to be able to mill the opponent out with. The last piece of this puzzle is the fact that we're running Super Celestia Saber, as well as Death Deck, which can bring back a Signy to our hand, and we're going to try to get in one more attack with Phalaris. That's going to mill around 36 cards on the opponent. I think with the amount of cards that the opponent is normally drawing, enter charging, etc., that is probably enough, broken up over the correct course of the game. That is probably enough to mill your opponent out twice. I would do it in this way rather than trying to do all these other mill strats things that you can be doing, and there's a couple in here. And that is probably going to end up better for you. You may even get in a second Phalaris swing. I believe with 46, you should be able to mill your opponent out twice. And the way that you get your second Phalaris swing, aside from this main deck, right, which also has, by the way, a 3-stop to try to stall out this game long enough for this, is there's actually a fairly good way to make recursion happen in your deck. Namely, you've got, aside from, again, Super Celestia Saber and Death Deck, we're going to be running the Oodles combo. And that allows, when Oodles comes into play, us to grab a black or white Signy from our trash and put it onto the field. A lot of the times you're probably going to want to put Exia out there just to stall out this game a little bit longer. But being able to grab Phalaris with it is also an option. The last little bits of mill that you might be doing is with Lucifer. Lucifer is a free negative 6,000. Sorry, free negative 4,000 on your attack step. And when a Signy becomes power 0 left from this, you can mill your opponent too. It's not much, but it does add up a little bit over time. The rest of this deck is a little standard in terms of white, black mid-range options, right? I think, again, that you're very, very, very strong with this Oodles combo here. And I think that helps push the deck a little over the edge. You've got a little bit of self-mill in this deck as well, so that way you can get yourself to the point where you can recur things. And then you've got, again, some stalls and your usual ways of white recursion in your hand, right? Miracle Draw, Orochimaru, Haniol, even the Oodles spell to a limited extent. I think these are probably your best bets to cycle through your deck outside of your recursion elements. So if you really like milling your opponent out and you really like reanimating your own combo, this is sort of a 2-for-1, right? You get the ability to reanimate your best cards that you're going to be doing, as well as being able to mill your opponent out with the same kind of thing. I think those are two niche strategies. When you tie them together, they can come together and be a little bit stronger than the sum of their parts. So it's a bit more of an interesting type of deck for those guys who are trying to play a little bit more of an interesting type of deck. I don't know if I'd play this for super, super, super sweaty combat, but if you're trying to bring something to your locals and just like kind of take people by surprise, this is definitely going to do that. And I think it could win locals pretty handedly if you play it the right way. So I know there's people out there who love Mill. There's people out there who love Reanimator. This will be more up your alley.